Well, welcome. Again, we're going to be in Psalm 90 today if you want to find your way there. We are officially in the middle of summer. If you did you need a notice on that, or you can feel it? I just got a heat advisory today on my phone. Did you get one of these? Heat advisory. Like we didn't know it was hot. It's like they're saying it's really hot. And it's like right now, it's like you can cut the air with knife and fork, and it's like a steak, It's swampy out there, it's hot, and I imagine that there's several of us who are trying to get out of the heat this summer. Anyone have a good vacation yet? Anybody? Or try to at least, or maybe get to the beach, just get away for a little bit. I hope you get an opportunity to explore, to adventure. If not, just go get a sunset at the beach, get some sea breeze. Like you guys, our family has tried to get away for a couple of days. We got to do that a few weeks ago and really enjoyed our time. But a few weeks ago when we were having some vacation, it brought back this reality that my wife and I, Katie and I, we love getting the opportunity to vacation together, to adventure together. It's one of our favorite things. It brings us together. We absolutely love vacationing and exploring the world together. But we come at vacation and adventure in distinctly different ways. And I just want to see if this dynamic relates to any of you in the house today. But for me, when it comes to planning a vacation, knowing that you only have like a week, and all of this year, you got a couple of weeks a year that you can take time off. Okay, I want to make the most of it. And for me, what that looks like is I plan. I'm a strategizer. I got an itinerary. Now you got ChatGPT where you can say, hey, I got 3 days in New York City. Tell me what to do, Give me 27 things to do. Tell me what subways to hit up. And I will have this thing timed out from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. for 3 days. And I will I will wring out all the joy that I can from a place. Is there anybody with me on my side real quick? All right, okay, that's not great. The numbers are not in my favor today. Okay, and so Katie has to deal with that, okay? Thankfully, we have learned the beauty of compromise in our marriage because she is the opposite way when it comes to planning a vacation. She thinks that the best vacation is the one you don't need a vacation from your vacation. And so when you plan vacation, she believes in rest, in rejuvenation, in not making plans, because everything else is planned. Let's plan to not make the plan. And so let's sleep in till noon. I'm like, noon? The day is over at noon. I'm up at 5. And she starts the day at noon, and maybe we do one thing, maybe a day, one thing a week. And she comes back rejuvenated, rested, relaxed. Anybody in that camp today where it's like, man, vacation is meant to be relaxing? All right. I see that. I feel that. As a matter of fact, a few weeks ago, we did it Katie's way. I went in. Now, every vacation, we're always compromising, but we did it Katie's way. We planned nothing. We went nowhere. We slept in, and I gotta say, it's just another reason I married up, because she's right. It's way better to do it that way than the way that I do it. And I actually had a week of rest, and it was awesome. We did nothing. We slept in. We watched movies. We swam. We went and watched a sunset. I asked my kids, hey, we got nothing planned. Is there anything you'd want to do this week that we have off? It was July 4th week. And they said, Dad, the only thing we want to do is we want to go to Buc-ee's. I'm like, out of all the things you could have asked for, you asked for a gas station. All right. So we drove across the state to Daytona. We went to Buc-ee's. I couldn't actually let myself drive across the state just to go to Buc-ee's. So we went to the Kennedy Space Center as well to kind of justify the drive. And we saw a rocket launch. It was that's a 10 out of 10 experience. That was amazing. But whether you're go, or you're steady and slow, that's not the point of the conversation. The point is, Katie and I, we both see time during those weeks off as so precious that it causes us to plan differently during that week. Because we know we only got 5 days here to do the family thing, We got to maximize. We got to wring out the most out of that time, whatever that looks like for you. We got to count our days so that we can make our days count. And what Psalm 90 here is about is not just how to maximize a vacation, but how to maximize a life. How to wring the most out of this life that we've been given. And so that's what Psalm 90 is all about. That's what we're going to roll into today, looking at how to make the most out of it. And now, before we dive headlong into the meat of Psalm 90, I want us to go and look at your Bibles, get your eyes on Psalm 90. Now, right before verse 1 in your Bibles, you'll notice there's this description of Psalm 90. It says, Psalm 90, a prayer of Moses, the man of God. So before we even get into the psalm, this is a really important piece to know who this is written by. This is already unique because most psalms are actually written by King David or other worship leaders in Jerusalem. But this is actually the only psalm that's been attributed to Moses. And we're talking about Moses here, the same Moses that, burning bush Moses and Red Sea Moses and the plagues and the, getting, his people out of slavery in Egypt into freedom. That Moses wrote a psalm. And only one is attributed to him. It's Psalm 90. What this also means that this is the oldest psalm in the whole Psalter. It is something like 3,500 years old when Moses was around. And yet you're gonna find it's still so relevant. It is timeless today. Now, Moses, just to remind you of the author, he lived 120 years. That's a nice, full, long life. And the first 40 years, if you remember his story, he lived in a palace with Pharaoh. Around the age of 40, he sees the injustice against his own people, and he gets out of the palace. And so for the next 40 years, he is in the wilderness. He's a shepherd for 40 years. And around the age of 80 is when it really starts to warm up for his life. I mean, this is burning bush. This is going to Pharaoh, let my people go, and the plagues roll in, and he leads God's people out of slavery into freedom, which I think is just a good word for our seniors today. Any seniors in the house? Any mature adults? Okay, I just want you to know today, Moses, his story didn't really get going till 80, okay? His impact, his legacy, most of the stuff that we know about his life, it was after 80. I just want you to know today, if you're a senior in this room, I want you to know that some of your biggest days of impact weren't behind you. I really believe they can be ahead of you. I really believe, we need the experience, the wisdom, the life that you offer. We need that in this church body. We need you to show up. We need you. We just sent out a seniors group to Harlan, Kentucky this past week, and there were several of them that were just going out on a mission trip to serve those. I mean, there's still impact ahead, and Moses is a case in point of that. So you got Moses, who lived 120 years. He's got one psalm to write. And what does he write about? He writes about time, how to make the most of it. And what we're going to find him do, really there's a structural breakdown of this psalm, is that Moses is going to talk about, all right, here's how you make the most of it. Here's a few ways that you can make the most. This is a prayer. How do we make the most of it? Understanding and seeing that God is great, seeing that life is short, and seeing what matters most. All right, that's what this psalm is. It's going to be so relevant for us today. I first want us to, this is the outline of the sermon, and of Psalm 90. Let's just dive in to this first reality. He wants us to see that God is great. Interesting. How do you make the most of time? You see that he's great. He's going to give us context for the time we're living in. He's giving us perspective. Verse 1, he writes this: Lord, you have been our dwelling place throughout all generations. So, Lord, you have been our home no matter how homeless we've been. They remember, he was writing this most likely at the end of his life in the wandering, in the wilderness. They don't have a home. They're a nomadic people. And generations before that, they were in slavery in Egypt. He says, but regardless of our situation, you've always been our dwelling place. You've always been home for us, which I think is just good news, because some of you right now are in like a wandering place. Some of you might be in a desert place in your life right now. Some of you might be in a dark place even. And I want you to know that your Lord is your home, that you can always find home in him. He goes on to say in verse 2, God, before the mountains were born, before you brought forth the whole world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. So again, he's giving us perspective. He's putting us and our lives into context. Lord, you've always been home, and you've always been there. Like before you spoke mountains into existence. Before time was, before clocks and calendars, you were there. You've existed always, and you always have been, you always will be. It goes on to say in verse 4, 1,000 years in your sight are like a day that's just gone by. I mean, you're so big, God. It's like a watch in the night, which is sort of like 3 or 4 hours. Like 1,000 years to you, God, is like a couple hours. And Moses will go on to say in this psalm that not only is he huge and big and sits outside of time, but he also sees everything that happens within time. He talks about how he sees all of our sin. He sees everything that we do in secret. So not only is he huge, but he's deeply invested in that there's not a single place where we can actually escape the presence of God. So Moses is starting his prayer about time by helping us see the author of time. He wants us to see that we are small, that he is great, that we're temporary, he's eternal. He's everlasting to everlasting, Alpha and Omega. He starts hitting on the nature of God. He hits on his, these are kind of theological words. I'll explain them out real quick. But he hits on God's omnipotence, which basically simply means his power. He's all-powerful. He's the God who speaks galaxies into existence. He hits on God's omnipresence, which is he's everywhere. There's no place we can escape. He hits on God's omniscience. He's all-knowing. He even knows the things we're thinking right now. So this is who God is. He is big. And oftentimes what's funny when it comes to our time is we make time about us. We make it about our calendars and our schedules and our plans. And we try to maybe fit God into our story. And what Moses is doing on the outside, it's like, no, this is not about God fitting into your story, your temporary story. This is about you seeing yourself in his massive story. He wants you to understand there's an author of time. He wants you to see that God is great. He is creator, you're the created. He's the owner of time, you're the steward of his time. He's the author of the story, you're a chapter in the story. And here's the beautiful part that makes God really great, is that this God who creates time, who sits outside of time, who sees everything that happens within time, is also the God who stepped into time to redeem the time. I want you to see this in Galatians chapter 4, verses 4 and 5. The Apostle Paul writes this: but when the right time came, God sent his son Jesus to buy freedom for us or to redeem us. Not just so that we can be good servants, but so that we could be adopted in as his very own kids. So this massive, big God, he so loves us that he sees our situation. He sees the death we've been in. He sees the sin that has plagued our lives, and he's like, I am not content with their situation. I love them too much to let them go down that route. So he steps into time to save us from ourselves. He steps into time with Jesus, lives a life that we could not live, dies a death on a cross that we all deserved, raises from the grave so that we could have life and life to the full. This is the good news that is right here in the scriptures. And so the next time that we think that life is somehow about us in our time, Moses is saying, whoa, check yourself. This is not about you. This is about the author of time. It's about fitting into his story, not him fitting into yours. And here's the reality, is we will never make the best use of time until we see who it is that we're connected to. We will never, we might be great at time management, we might be really punctual in life, but we will never make the best use of time until we see we're connected to the one who created time. And when we see God as great, we see what he's done for us, time will take on a whole new meaning. So Moses, he helps us make the most of our time by, number one, just understanding, waking up to the reality that, wow, God, you are great. Second thing he moves to is to help us see that time is short. In verse 3 of Psalm 90, he calls us mortals. From dust you were made, to dust you're going to return. If you look at verse 6, he says that our lives are like grass. The whole lifespan is like a blade of grass, where you look great in the morning, and by the end of the day, you are withered and dry. Verse 10, he says, a long life, you might get 70 years. If you're lucky, you'll get 80. But even those years are going to be filled with trouble and pain. And so what is the prayer that Moses prays? Does he pray, so Lord, in light of how time is short, give us more time? No, he doesn't pray that. Instead, he prays, verse 12, in light of the reality that life is short, teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Teach us to count so we can make it count. Help us see that we don't have forever. So a few years ago, I saw this little exercise being done, and it's always stuck with me, so I'll share it with you. This is a timeline right here that's numbered 0 to 110. And I encourage you, maybe for lunch today, you can do this with your family. I know it's a little bit morbid, what we're about to do, but it could be a good lunch conversation. 0 to 110, and this is years of our lives. Okay, and so with this exercise, the first thing you want to do is pick a year of how long you think you might live. Now, again, none of us know. We don't know if we have later today. But I Googled how long does an average male live in the U.S., and the number was 78. But okay, that's a pretty decent starting point, 78. Now, I like red meat. I like steak and butter and popcorn, and my blood pressure doesn't always cooperate. So I'm gonna go for the under here. I'm gonna go 76. Okay, so I'm gonna mark it at 76. And what I want you to do, you can take this with a napkin, you can do this with anything later today, and just mark off 76, all right, or mark off whatever age you think you got, all right? And so this is like 77 beyond. And so this is good news for anyone who's in Christ. Good news, this is heaven. So that goes away. That's awesome. Thank you, Jesus. That's gonna be awesome. Woo, woo, right, that's amazing. Good news, all right? Now, the next part of the exercise is you pick out your age. And so just so that you know, I am 38 for less than one more month. And so I'm going to hold on to that number for as long as I can, right? So I'm 38 years old. And you're going to crease off that part as well. And so I'm going to take out from 0 to 38. Now, this part, 0 to 38, this is going away as well. This is called your past. This part's not really going to go to heaven. That part's gone. You can't change your past. You can't do anything about that past. It's gone. And so this is what you're left with. Now, some of your papers might be a lot smaller than mine. But I'm not even promised this. And I have something like this in my office on my desk every day to remind me, wow, life really is short. We are not promised tomorrow. And this reality echoes throughout the scriptures. I just wanted to give you a sampling of this reality. In Job chapter 7, verse 7, Job compares life to a breath. In Psalm 39, King David compares the span of our life to the width of our hand. In James 4:14, James, the half-brother of Jesus, compares life to a mist, a vapor. It's here one day, it's gone the next. This is short. And we don't even know if we have this much. I've been thinking about that a lot, actually, this year. Probably done more funerals this year than I've done in 17 years of ministry. Of all ages and stages of life. When you do those almost every week, you can't escape the reality of the brevity of life. And almost every week, I'm now asking the question, Lord, am I making the most of this time? I mean, because one moment you are here, and the people that were here, they thought they were going to be here longer. And that's true of us. I mean, it's going to happen. It's poof, you're gone. And there's no going back. Like, I'm thinking about this in my own life. There's no going back to reconcile. There's no going back to get things right with someone. There's no going back to that neighbor that I know needed Jesus. There's no going back to the family and saying, I want that time back. There's no going back to that. And then poof, you're gone. And in 2 Corinthians, we're told to be absent from the body, you're to be present with the Lord. And man, I know I can exaggerate as a pastor when telling different stories to grab attention or get people to laugh, but there's no amount of exaggeration that I can do to set you up for that moment. Poof, you're gone and in the presence of the Lord. Are we ready for that? I mean, it happens like this, guys. It's short. It's brief. We're not promised any of it. And so often, what we do in life is we say stuff like, oh, I'll get to it one day, right? We do that with relationships. We do that with big things. Oh, I'll get to it one. I'll get over that. I'll reconcile with that family member one day. I'll make it right with my spouse one day. But for now, I'm gonna hold this grudge. Okay, but you don't know how much time you have. And honestly, you don't know how much time they have. There's actually Jesus, he speaks into this very reality with this one story out of Luke 12. You might remember it's called the parable of the rich fool. And I always thought that this was a message on greed, but it's more than that. The parable of the rich fool, remember he's a rich guy and he gets a big harvest, so he gets richer. And he's like, what am I gonna do with all this extra? He's like, I'm gonna build bigger barns, bigger storehouses, so I can store it all up. And he says to his soul, oh, soul, I can finally relax, eat, drink, and be merry. And then God comes to him and says, you fool. Remember this? You fool. For tonight, your life is demanded from you. And the problem in the story isn't that he had stuff. It's okay to have stuff. It's okay to have savings. That's not the message. It's that he thought he had more time. That's what made him a fool. He wasn't counting his days. He thought he had all the time in the world. And some of us right now are thinking, oh, I'm young, I got all the time in the world, or I'm middle-aged, I got all the time. I don't know if you do. And that's the point that Moses is getting across. Teach us, remind us, don't let us forget how short life actually is. Go get it right today. The reason today is a gift is because we have it right here for us. And he says, so that, teach us to number our days so that we may gain a heart of wisdom. I like that. That word wisdom there in the Hebrew, it's the word, I'm going to teach you some Hebrew. Is that okay? All right, it's going to be on the screen. The word for wisdom in the Hebrew is a chakma. You got to really get it in there, all right? So you get to do two things. You get to learn Hebrew and spit on your neighbor today, okay? All right, so try it out on each other. Just go chakma. All right, that word, it means wisdom or skill. Isn't that good? Lord, teach me to number my days so that I might go through this life skillfully. Lord, help me see just how short today is so that I might live today as you intended. Help me have wisdom. Teach me, remind me, God, the days are short. So Moses, he's teaching us how to make the most of life. He's saying, first, you need to understand your context, that there's God and he is great. You also need to understand that you are not God and that you are temporary, right? And you're not going to live forever, and you need wisdom. And then he finishes the powerful prayer. So then live for what matters most. This is where he lands. After reflecting on the greatness of God, the brevity of life, he prays in verse 14 through 17. Lord, satisfy us in the morning with your unfailing love, that we may sing for joy and be glad all our days. Make us glad for as many days as you have afflicted us, for as many years as we have seen trouble. May your deeds be shown to your servants, your splendor to their children. May the favor of the Lord our God rest on us. Establish the work of our hands for us. Yes, establish the work for our hands. So Moses, he's concluding the prayer. Lord, so now in light of this, would you satisfy us every morning with your love? Would you be with us? Would your favor rest on us? And Lord, would you establish the work that we're doing? God, that we want to be about what you want us to be about. We want us to only do what you want us to do, nothing more, nothing less. Establish the work of our hands. It's a beautiful way to close this prayer. He's saying, Lord, help me understand what matters most in this life. Help me live for what matters. Don't let me go chasing satisfaction in all the wrong places. How many of us have spent our lives wasting time chasing satisfaction in wrong places? And his prayer is, Lord, satisfy me instead with your love every morning. When I wake up, rather than chasing satisfaction in success or notoriety or popularity or what people think of me, Lord, help me root my identity in you. Help me understand that you are the one that satisfies me. You're the bread of life. You're the spring of living water. You satisfy me every morning, so I don't have to go waste my time chasing things that don't really matter. Help me, Lord. No, your favor is over me. How much time have we wasted thinking that God is angry and upset and disappointed in us? How many nights have we wasted thinking, man, I can't even go back to church. I can't even go back to God because he's so disgusted with me. That's not how God relates to you. How much time have we wasted not thinking he favors us? And then how much time have we spent doing things that we don't need to be doing? And the prayer is, God, I want you to establish the work of my hands today. Yes, establish the work of my hands. I don't want my work to be determined by the pressures of the world. I don't want my work to be determined by people pleasing. I don't want my work to be determined by what my parents say I should do, or what my grandparents think I should do, or what my coach says I should do. No. God, I want you to establish what I'm going to do in this life. How much time have we wasted trying to do things that other people think we ought to do, that we don't need to be doing? Lord, help me see what matters most. There's this famous Australian author, Bronnie Ware. She was a hospice nurse for years and years. So she spent years of her life being with people in the last days of theirs. And she ended up writing a book after decades of this work called The 5 Regrets of Dying People. And she writes about one of the regrets is this quote. She heard from multiple dying patients. I wish I hadn't spent so much time working, and I wish I had more time with my family. And I imagine we can resonate with that feeling. But the solution to the problem is off. Because what they're saying is, I needed more time. I wish I had more time. Well, you had time. You have time. The solution to the problem of the brevity of life is not more time. It is, Lord, teach me to number my days so that I might go through this life skillfully with wisdom. There's 2 reasons I know that is not the solution. Number one is if you were all given an extra hour today, you'd probably spend it doing what you already do. Let's be honest. Nothing would really change. The second thing is this. 2 Peter, the scripture tells us that God has given you everything that you need to live a godly life. That means all the time that you need. So you have everything you need right now. All the time that you need right now to be all that God is calling you to be and do all that God is calling you to do. But do we have the courage to do it? We need clarity to know what matters most, but we need the courage to actually step into it. And this is where I want to invite you. This is where I want to challenge you. Have courage with your time. What does courage look like? It looks like saying no to really good things that people want you to do so you can say yes to the thing that God has called you to do. Courage looks like looking at those things that are stealing your time every day. You're like, I don't have any time. And yet you got 4 hours for social networking. Okay, cool. Let's examine that. Let's have courage to look at the time bandits in our life, the things that are stealing time, precious time, TV, social media, overworking, addiction. Like, let's look at those things and say, you know what? We need to put those things to death because they're stealing time. Valuable, precious time. Courage looks like, okay, God, I'm going to align my calendar this week not to what people expect of me to do. I'm going to align my calendar this week to what you're calling me to do. It's like just like we put our budget before the Lord, say, God, what would you have us give? It's putting our time before the Lord, say, God, what would you have us give? We are stewards. We're not owners of time. So I would invite you to have courage this week as we use our time and use it on what matters most. And I believe this will be the fruit. I believe the fruit of that life where you're intentional and you're focused on what matters most, the fruit of that is actually peace. I think we'll be more relaxed. And the reason I believe that is that's the way of Jesus. Dallas Willard was once asked to describe Jesus in one word, and he said, relaxed. And it's so interesting because Jesus had a pretty important job, right? I mean, I know you guys have important jobs. important things you got to do. But Jesus was pretty important. And yet you never find him frenetic. You never find him frantic. You read the Gospels. You never see Jesus in a rush. Like, oh, I got to be in 8 places at once. Oh, I'm too busy. No, you see him taking naps on boats. You see him partying at weddings. You see him eating long meals with people. You see him relaxed. It's not that he wasn't doing important things. He was doing important things, but he was focused on what his Father wanted him to do. And what if we just followed the way of Jesus this week with our time? Help us, God, see that you are great, time is short, and actually live for what matters most. Would your life look any different? We don't know if we have tomorrow, so go for a walk with your spouse. Play that game with your kids. Tell that person you're sorry. Invite that neighbor for coffee. Spend time with Jesus. Go do what God has called you to do. Go be what God has called you to be. Live for what matters most.